Hi all, it's Luke here, and welcome back for my ice basing tutorial. I've used this on over 70 or so bases of various sizes, so unless you're watching on a Samsung fridge, you should be able to see some examples on screen. I've also ironed out more kinks than you'll find on online websites, so you won't have to deal with these bases falling apart, which can be an issue when using any form of crackle paint. This is the majority of the products I use for this technique: white spray paint, white paint, and any crackle paint. I opt for the Green Stuff World crackle paint as you get tons for what you pay and it's easier to apply to the base due to the nozzle. Citadel Euphomatic Blue and Akahelen Green are also key, along with the Vallejo Environmental Effects for snow. The first step is to apply the crackle paint all over the base. You can't really go wrong here, so be as liberal or heavy-handed as you like. You can also leave some areas blank if you want some more flat, watery areas. I would, however, advise that you first spray paint the base any colour to help the crackle paint stick to the base. This will stop it flaking off. I've not done this here, as this base is purely for the tutorial and I plan to frisbee it at the first person I see performing a delicate task. Your now hopefully dry base should look something like this. I would advise applying varnish at this point as a second level of preserving that crackle paint. Once again, being the shining paragon of examples, I've not done this step and moved straight on to spraying it Corax White. Once the white spray is completely dried, it's now time to grab the Akahelen Green and Euphomatic Blue. You want to make a roughly 50-50 mix, doesn't have to be exact. As you can see from mixing these two geezers together, it does appear fairly dark. Don't stress it, because when it goes on the base in thin layers, it will come through the greeny blue colours of ocean water. Well, at least the British seaside ocean water. Now, apply this contrast mix all over the base. The areas you want darker, put it on thicker, and vice versa. I've super glued on a bit of cork here just to show you how you can spice things up if you're feeling adventurous. I'll wick away some of the mix at the end so these open spaces will dry lighter. Let this step fully dry before moving on. This basing method is more efficient the more you do at once due to the drying time in between some of the steps, just something to keep in mind. Now grab your selected white, it's time for dry brushing. Don't mistake dry brushing as a slapdash technique. We want control in this step in order to grab all the edges of this ice and not leave paint streaks all over it, as we still want those darker colours underneath to show through to give the idea of depth. I also hit the edges of the rock that I've painted dark grey here for a quick lazy highlight, which is all that we're going to need for it. It's now time to move on to the Vallejo Environmental Snow step. Grab an old brush that needs to be taken out back and shot, or an appropriate coffee stirrer like myself. Use this to dab on small snow piles and to bring the colour up or cover any areas that you aren't happy with. Be aware that you want to leave enough space for whatever models that you'll be sticking to the base in future. As a final step, I've chucked on a standard Citadel tuft. Taking whatever tool you used, gently hit the tufts to give the appearance of light snowfall. It's just another thing you can do to add to your bases to mix it up or break up larger bases that you might use throughout your force. And now for the most important step of the entire process. Painting that base rim black. Not grey, not leaving it white, but black. It's the most pretentious thing I'll say on this channel, but hear me out. The rim of the base acts like the frame around a picture, and black goes with anything whilst providing the eye a clear area of colour separation. With that moment out of the way, thank you for staying till the end. And I do hope that this method inspires you to tackle a project or start a new one. Comments and likes really help me out more than you can imagine, as without them I won't hit the algorithm. If I've helped you, consider sticking around and subscribing. Aside from that, I reply to all messages and questions on my social media, so feel free to hit me up anytime you fancy.